Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us. We're up to 100 participants, which is good. We've been climbing ever since we got on. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy schedule to join us. I am Raul Rico. I am the Director of Admissions at Palma, and I hope everybody is safe and healthy and that your sons have had a great start to the school year. I know we're only a couple of days in, so this is just right on time. So Mr. David Cunha, our IT director, is joining us this evening, making sure that this webinar goes smoothly. So if I break up or we have any concerns, please email him, not me. As is Palma tradition, we will begin this webinar with a prayer. In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit, amen. Eternal God in wisdom and love, you created our earth to sustain us and give us life. We turn to you now in faith, hope, and love, asking you to look with favor on our fire-ravaged land, on those who continue to work our fields and crops. Strengthen, sustain, and give new heart to our students, our staff, our friends and families, to our first responders, to our leaders, to our healthcare providers, and to our pastors, mentors, and teachers. Strengthen and comfort the victims of the fires, those who have lost beloved heirlooms, property, and stock. In loving providence, provide us weather to stall fires and restore health and nature around us. Father of all compassion, hear our prayers through Jesus Christ, your Son, and through the power of the Holy Spirit. Amen. Blessed Edmund Rice, pray for us. Live Jesus in our hearts forever. Father, Son, Holy Spirit, amen. So as I said, thank you so much for joining us this evening. And today we will begin with a message from our president, Mr. Chris Dahlman.
Thank you, Raul, and thank you everyone for logging in tonight. I suppose I'll start with an apology. I wish we could all be here together. I know mini schedule night is one of my favorite events of the year. Typically we are a couple weeks into school. The boys have already had things like the red and gold barbecue. We've had freshman mixers. We've had parent mixers. We have upcoming dances. The boys have just finished with an exciting day at school, and it's alive with boy energy. And why this is one of my favorite events is we have hundreds of families that come on campus excited to meet their son's teachers for the first time, to walk his path and what his day looks like. But also to see, for those families to check in with the friendships they have with other families. They may have not have seen each other for the last couple of months over the summer. And as I always stand back and watch, it's great to watch our community come together and to see each other again. And it's a great night with great energy. But anyway, welcome everyone. For many of you, you know me as Dean of Students for these past 8 years. But to our new families, my name is Chris Dahlman. I am the newly appointed president here at Palma as of July 1. I fully understand that I am filling the shoes of a giant presence here on our campus, Brother Patrick Dunn. Brother came to Palma as the principal in the summer of 1987, which was the start of my senior year here. Over those 33 years, Brother has gone from my principal to my employer, to my president, and growing to a mentor and a friend. The Palma you see today is vastly different from the Palma of 33 years ago. Brother would often say, everything we have here at Palma is a gift from the Palma family to help our boys. I will also add that a lot of what we see today is built on his vision. The Blessed Edmund Rice Chapel, the multi-purpose building in which I sit in tonight, our curriculum, which has expanded to over 25 AP and honors courses. Our clubs and sports have dominated the Central Coast, as can be seen by the dozens of championships hanging in our gym, all within a structure that helps boys thrive into young men, and for each of them to find success in whatever their chosen endeavor. What has not changed over these 33 years, and will not, are the very principles the school is built on. I'm acutely aware that I am the first layperson charged to lead Palma School. I am also a product of a Palma education and its principles. Rest assured that these essential elements that will guide our school will continue to be the pillars of Palma's decision-making, as it has been for these past 69 years. I look at the job of the president at Palma, not as a person who runs the school, but a person who helps support it. If our boys need a new science lab, an astroturf field, or money raised for tuition assistance, then it is my job to provide that support. If you have any thoughts and ideas on how to raise more friends and funds for Palma School in support of our boys, please call or email me at the school, and I promise I will immediately respond. I want to thank all of you for your continuing to invest in your son's education at Palma. It is not the school environment that I think any of us want right now, but I do promise we will go above and beyond teaching and mentoring your sons and providing the Palma education you have invested in and come to expect. I look forward to the day to meet each and every one of you and seeing you here on campus. I thank you again for your support. Now, I would like to introduce our principal for the past 13 years, Mr. David Sullivan.
Good evening, good evening. Can you all hear me? It's a very different experience to speak to a screen without seeing 130 of you now involved. I too want to welcome you to a new year at Palma. I'm really excited to begin this year with your sons and with our teachers. You know, online learning may not be our first choice, but we are committed to doing it as successfully as is possible. We've said it before, we're in it to win it. Our reputation for excellence in and out of the classroom is driven by the pursuit of excellence in all endeavors. It's from our Christian Brothers Charter, which is the essential elements of an Edmund Rice Christian Brother education. It's central to our mission. Just a few notes of gratitude. I can't help myself. I'm grateful to our president, Mr. Dahlman. As our head of school, he embodies the values and humble leadership, which is integral to our character as a school. He inspires me to work harder and to dream higher. And Palma's in a better place because of his new place at Palma. I'm grateful to Mr. Villarengo, our vice principal and director of curriculum. He's exceptionally talented, well-read. His leadership and contributions are essential to Palma, and especially under distance learning. He's a strong communicator, and he is genuinely motivated by your son's success and in preparation for the next chapters of his life. I'm grateful for Mr. Rico, our Director of Admission and Enrollment Manager. His energy is positive, it's infectious. His personality is larger than life. His loyalty to Palma, his belief in the opportunities created here for young men, it's what drives him to make a difference in your son's life. For Mr. Cunha and Mr. Rubkowski, who are the brains behind our operations tonight, as our IT Director and Department of One, Mr. Cunha is coordinating the logistics of this webinar, even at this very moment. And he too is a man of sincere faith and dedicated support for our students, their parents, and our staff. Thank you to Mr. Rubkowski, our Director of Marketing and Communications. He created the slideshow that's going to conclude tonight's event. I hope you take the time to meet our teachers, meet them on the video he created. And his attention to detail is most impressive. We're blessed to have him. I thank you, our parents. You are much more than our customers. You make the Palma family what it is. Your support for our teachers is appreciated. Your partnership with us is critical in helping your sons to grow. You care enough to parent your son, to love him, to discipline him, to support him, to cheer for him. And it's evident that you make his current education a priority in your lives. Thank you for your investment in your son, in his education of mind, body, and soul. All of us, truly all of us, are better for that investment. I'm grateful for our faculty and staff, for being present to our young men and for their commitment of self to Palma. It takes intelligence to be a good teacher, but it takes mind, body, and soul to be a good Palma teacher. Just a couple of things I wanted to address before we go to some Q&A. Academic integrity. It's an important issue to society, important everywhere. It's important because it's important everywhere, it's also important here. I ask you please to talk with your sons. Online learning has its temptations, as you well know. I ask you to reinforce effort and process over outcomes. Again, effort and process over outcomes. What I'm trying to say is that I ask you to reinforce learning over grades. Grades will take care of themselves if the emphasis is on learning. And true learning requires inspiration and perspiration. And if grades are the only motivation, I might be tempted to put aside my integrity, my character, my family's good name, so I can get that grade. Our teachers will work to inspire authentic learning for your sons, and it's your son's job to work hard at getting there. If your son is overwhelmed by academic rigor or all the other adversity that we're facing in 2020, or hopefully if he's underwhelmed by the lack thereof, I just ask you to please communicate with your son's teachers so we can address this. We are missioned to challenge your sons to grow in every sense of the word. Accountability. Talk with your boys, please, about taking responsibility for themselves. At Palma, we know young men. Perfection is really not our goal here at Palma. The pursuit of excellence is. So when young men make mistakes, and they will make mistakes, accountability is important. Mistakes present opportunities for accountability, and it is a trait that is critical for growth. And when accountability is your concern, please address it first and foremost with your son's teacher, or his club advisor, or his coach. And if the issue is not addressed at the most local level possible, please share your concern with maybe your son's counselor, or the director of student life, Mr. Naroyan. And if it is still not addressed there, now please speak with an administrator, like Mr. Bishop, or Mr. Villarengo, or myself. So hand in an effective Catholic school institution. Help us to do that by going to the right person at the right time, if necessary. Before we move to live Q&A, I'll conclude perhaps with this. How do boys of promise become men of character? With the right attitude, the right structure, the right mentoring, adversity may be among the greatest of teachers. It seems that 2020 is rife with teachable moments. Virus, social distancing, online learning, losses in income, racial tensions, fires, displacement, sociopolitical extremes, lots of adversity, lots of teachable moments. Men of character, our chieftains will need to grow through and even because of adversity. I'm fond of a phrase that I often tell my students when I teach them. The worst mistake that a student can make in life is not to learn from one. The worst mistake we can make in life is not to learn from one. We don't expect perfection, but we expect the pursuit of excellence. Academic integrity, accountability, adversity. It takes more to be a chieftain. We are here to support and to serve you. Back to you, Mr. Rico.
Thank you, Mr. Sullivan. Thank you for the good words. So we're going to jump right into things, and we have some questions already. So this one will be directed towards Mr. Villarengo, and we haven't heard from you tonight too. So I know you wrote a lovely email this morning, bright and early, explaining what Wednesday's flexing day meant, but can you please go over it again? We have a couple questions on that.
Sure, I'm happy to. First of all, I want to thank you all for being here as well. It is certainly my privilege to serve you, my privilege to serve Palma, and proud to be part of the long legacy of Palma, dating all the way back to when I was a student, a longtime employee, and now a father of a student. So very much invested and very much appreciative of all that Palma has done for me, and looking forward for what it will do for my own son. So you're asking about the Flex Day. And let me share my screen. So a lot of information you can find is here on our website. So I hope you're a frequent visitor of our website. We've got quick links here, right up here. And that's one that you should frequent pretty often because it's where the most important information is posted. And right at the top is the fall bell schedule. So I'll open this up. I'm sure I hope you've had a chance to look at it a number of times. Right now, in the current iteration of our school experience, we have 3 types of days: the red day, the gold day, and the flex day. As you see, red day runs on Monday and Thursday and has 0 period, 1st period, 2nd period, and 6th period down here after the lunch break. And then gold day has the other periods, period 3, period 4/5. Ordinarily, those would be 2 separate periods, accounting for the high school and the middle school lunch, and then period 7. Flex day, as it says, is really designed to be a day to give students a break from the relentless Zoom meeting. I'm sure we've all experienced some Zoom fatigue, and you can only imagine 5 days straight of just constant Zoom meeting after Zoom meeting. So we're really working with our faculty to have them give assignments that can be completed independently, but offer the opportunity for individual help. We know that students learn at different paces. So what the goal of Flex Day is to allow students who are mastering the material or have mastered the material to continue to learn on their own, while at the same time offering opportunities in these scheduled office hours, to contact teachers, to work with them for students who might need more individual attention. Truly, it's trying to find a blessing actually in this current situation, allowing us a degree of differentiation of instruction that would be more challenging even in person, because when you have all the students there at once, you have to manage them. But here we know they can be safe at home, pursuing other activities, while we're working with those that do need some extra attention, say because they were displaced for the first few days of school. I know several teachers were using this particular day to connect with who might, to clarify instructions of assignments. Sometimes, as I mentioned in the email this morning, a teacher might ask the entire class to come in and have some additional going over reviewing or information that they feel that this needs to be to cover. So that's really the design of Flex Day. It's generally going to run on Wednesday. I do want to point out here that it does say students can attend in person. Well, that's just understand that this is the foundation of the hybrid schedule. When we're able to transition back to in-person classes, if we have to go hybrid, this is the exact same schedule we'll be following. And then we would be able to have appointments made for in-person on the Flex Day. You might be curious about the study halls here. That's all for the hybrid schedule. Obviously now it's just a lunch hour for our students when they're remote, but you can see the bones of what we will be doing once we return to in-person learning in a hybrid form. When we're ultimately able to have everyone back on campus, we'll have a schedule more similar to what we've had in years past, if you've been here, with the 6 periods running each day and occasional block days throughout. So I hope that answered the question, Mr. Rico.
We have a couple of additional questions that popped up in the Q&A in regards to the Flex Day. So are students marked absent if the teacher wants the whole class to attend on the Wednesday Flex Day? And the other one would be, if a student feels that they're doing well at the time, do they need to log in?
So again, the Flex Day, and we talked about this morning at our faculty meeting, it is a day when teachers need to communicate with families the expectations. So I do want to show you a little bit more how they'll be doing that. But are they going to be marked absent if they don't log in? This is not a day that official attendance is going to be recorded, but teachers who have asked a class would record their own attendance, not necessarily entering it into the school system. And you would expect them to then reach out and inform parents didn't attend and start that dialogue. Mr. Sullivan talked about that really important dialogue that needs to take place between students and families. It's a foundation of Catholic education that parents are the first teachers and the partnership with parents. That's what we're looking for on the Flex Day, to give teachers the opportunity to communicate. So if a student is feeling that he's doing well, does he have to log in? Not necessarily, but if he is not doing well and doesn't log in, the teacher would let you know. That's the whole point. This is the opportunity to get help. This is how we are addressing that concern, that when we went to the distance learning in the spring, one of the responses we got, from surveys, was that wasn't that opportunity for the individual connection. That's what we're working hard to achieve this particular return to school.
And
Thank you, Mr. Villarengo.
can I add to that, Mr. Rico?
Yes, of course.
So just to add to that, the idea behind the Flex Day is clearly academic in its nature, but it's not exclusive to academic nature. Our counselors met with groups of seniors during what would have been their class periods today, specifically to address how they are motivating and using that time to get seniors to apply for colleges. So they're working on their persuasive essays. They're working on getting their resumes together. That could, on the face of things, seem to be something that is not entirely intellectual or specific to any particular subject, but it very much is part of the process. So, you know, in a distance learning environment where kids are working in isolation, these are opportunities to, as Mr. Villarengo said, to create more connectivity. And that's really the key to our success, I think. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Go ahead, Mr. Rico.
We have a couple of other questions that are coming in. Just want to remind the audience, as you guys have grown now to 164, thank you so much for taking the time. Please use the Q&A button at the bottom of the screen in order to send in your questions if you haven't already. And we'll go ahead and kick off with some more questions. I think this one would be more directed towards Mr. Sullivan or Mr. Dahlman. If any of you want to take this hot potato off my hands, go for it. Do you have any updates as to when we will be allowed to be back on campus? That's the $1 million question.
Yeah, can we do it tomorrow? I mean, we want to go back. Obviously, the problem is our positive caseload in the county of Monterey is not below the threshold, and Monterey County Health Department has already made it public that in no foreseeable future, anytime soon that is, will schools be allowed to even apply for waivers when they qualify. And Palma doesn't even qualify for waivers because we don't have students below 7th grade. So I know that we're poised and ready to move quickly. I know that there will be people in our community, both staff members and students, who have concerns about moving right into any kind of in-person learning. And I think we've got a plan to address all of those concerns. But the power to do so, I think, remains among the powers that be beyond our control. I don't know, Mr. Dahlman?
You well said there, David, as far as the details of we're waiting for the powers that be that would dictate to us within our own county we get off this threshold. I would reiterate this, is that the administration that you see in front of you here spent all summer long putting together multiple plans for how school would look, even before we knew what school would look like. So those are in place. And I feel strongly that when the county does release this and says, hey, school can start back, I would bet, and I think all of you would agree with me, is that if school was to be, okay, we can start school, there will be restrictions to how that looks. It will not look like what it was on March 11th or March 12th at this last spring. And we will have plans in place that will get out to you right away. And I say this, as fast as we switch from boys on campus here to e-learning, we'll switch right back as fast as we can. You give us a few days because we have those plans in place. That may not be the case for a lot of places. That may take weeks, if not another quarter, just to adjust. I do feel that we have a great plan to jump back when the time comes.
Thank you. Thank you so much for that one. Mr. Villarengo, can you help us out with this next question? Are teachers posting homework on Fax and RenWeb portal? Will the parents be notified with missing assignments? And then this goes hand in hand with the Mercado family, who said, how do we check our son's progress and grades? Is there a way that you can give us a little live little look into how you could do it?
Absolutely. That's a very big question that a lot of families have, especially if they're new to the school. So I'm going to go ahead and share again my screen in a moment here to give you that demonstration of how that happens exactly. So we're going to return to the Palma website, and I'm just waiting for that to load on my computer before I share my screen with you. And again, quick links is the area you want to go. And go down to, well, it disappeared there, but facts, SIS, grades, and homework. This link right here. Click on that. We've got the district code already there for you. If you happen to log in straight through the facts website, you'd have to know that, PS-CA, Palma School-California. And then we're going to log in. Now you can log in as a parent. You can log in as a student. I'm going to log in as a parent. We just enrolled a celebrity student today, just for the very purposes of tonight's webinar. Charlie Brown has joined us. He's got a little bit of self-esteem issues at times, but he is.
Who's Charlie Brown?
Who is Charlie Brown? You're making me sad, Mr. Rico. Anyway, we'll make him sad if you don't know who he is. He's been around a while. He's got a little bit of arrested development. So anyway, Charles Brown, we're going to log in. Now, what you're going to use is your username is the username that you use to fill out the application. But if you've forgotten that, there's a reset button right here. You can also contact Mr. Cunha. He can give you some help at tech@palmaschool.org to get some help resetting this. So you're going to log in here, and so I've logged in as Charles Brown, Charlie's father. And this is the landing page that you're going to see. Now, there's a lot of good information here for you. You can see the announcements. You can see a calendar. So if you're wondering what day is coming up, I put it all here for you. You can log in here and see that tomorrow is a red day and which periods are meeting. Next day's a gold day. I'll go ahead just a little bit since we're on this page and show you that Labor Day, of course, is a holiday. And so what's happening is that Flex Day is disappearing that week. Notice that Red Day is just sliding to Tuesday and Gold Day is going to slide to Wednesday. So the 4 days of block classes will run that week. But if you have any doubt, you can just look ahead. I've posted up the first quarter here. So you can see all the way to the end of the first quarter. I'm keeping in mind I don't want to post too far out because the situation evolves and can change. What you want to look at here is the left-hand side. And if you click under student, here you go. You can see grades. You can see homework. So Charlie's not earning much at the moment. He's got kind of an eclectic schedule. He's got lots of different classes from different grade levels. Might be contributing to his self-esteem problems. Anyway, graded work and participation attendance. This happens to be my class. When I start entering grades, you'll start to see this populating. You can see the other classes just by using the drop-down menu. Right now, mainly you'll just see the weighting of the son. Well, Charlie hasn't done any work. He just enrolled today. So maybe some teachers have already entered grades for your son. If you want to see homework, you can click on the homework link. You can see the whole week here. You can print the week and then see what your student has each day. So teachers are supposed to be posting at the beginning of the week the projection of the week and at least 3 days out, not the whole week, including the flex day. So there should be some instructions on what the student's supposed to be doing on flex day here. Another thing you can find here is the attendance records. So if your student is missing class, you could probably expect a call from the main office, but you should also be able to see it here. Charlie's got perfect attendance for his 1 day here. And then schedules. In case you've misplaced the schedule that I've sent or just want a refresher, that's here too. It'll pop up in a second, and you can see it's sluggish a little bit, but when it does come, it will, there it goes. It took a little while to load, but there you see it. So you can see his schedules. You can see the regular day. It's called the regular day because that's what we will be running when we return to in-person instruction full time. But for now, you'd want to pay attention to the red and gold days. And you can see which periods align with each class. And So that's how you find the schedule and the grades. One more thing I'll say before I close with this is that I'm going to turn on probably at the beginning of September, a weekly grade report that you can expect coming to you each week that will push it to you by email once a week. So in case you are forgetting to log in, you can see it all there as well. That will come up as well. Mr. Rico, any other questions?
Thank you, Mr. Brown. Yes, we have a couple of different ones tonight. So here we go. This next one, I think it's actually Mr. Rob Bishop using the anonymous tag, but there's a question on here that says, what's the latest on sports and practicing, training? When will the boys be allowed to be back on campus to train? Thank you, Mr. Bishop.
I'll do my best here. We're planning to have a webinar the Wednesday, I believe, the week after Labor Day. Athletics is going to host a webinar so that they can address this very issue. We're planning for workouts in social circles and acceptable norms. New guidelines are coming out literally yesterday with Q&As coming out today. And we're learning this from the public health department. So we're trying to track what those norms are and what we can get away with and do and still be compliant and still keep people safe. So all those things are in process. I sat in on the coaches meeting that took place on Thursday last week, and I can assure you that coaches are ready, willing and eager to get our boys exercising and get some chemistry going and some socializing. So stay tuned, because we may be among the first in the county to start working this out in ways that still are very much a part of the prescribed norms.
Thank you so much, Mr. Sullivan. I got another question here, or something very important, especially as we do our daily classes. If a student is unable to attend class, who does he notify? Does he notify the instructor, the main office? And then another good one that just came in as well is if the student is stuck in a Zoom waiting room when class has already started, who can he contact? Or if he loses connection during class and needs to be let back in, how does he ensure that he gets back in?
Maybe Mr. V can help me with this, but I'll start with saying, the importance of weight rooms is to allow us to keep Zoom bombers from infiltration. So that's our mechanism to make sure that we're screening the right names and pictures and IDs for students to come in. So I just ask for your patience during weight rooms. I know our teachers are being as vigilant as possible. But on top of that, if a student loses connectivity, as soon as he gets connectivity, come back in so that we know what's going on. And then maybe a quick chat to the teacher or some comment to the teacher will let them know that I got kicked out. I'm sorry. Our teachers understand that. Mr. V?
Well, that is a good question. I mean, I know that some students do get lodged in the waiting room as teachers kind of get involved in their lessons. So we are working to get people to make sure that they're paying attention to the waiting room. You can set it to chime. So we'll make sure that that chime is turned on for teachers if someone's actually waiting there to come in. Another thing I've noticed that my boys in my classes have done is that they've actually texted each other, and one of them has said, hey, Mr. Villarengo, so-and-so's waiting to come in. So if your son has a friend in the class, that's another way to get the teacher's attention if he gets logged out. Obviously, the teacher should be paying attention first and foremost, but if he does get distracted, that's been helpful at times. As far as who to contact if your son is absent, please continue to call the main office just as you would during a regular absence during in-person school. It is helpful to email the teacher because some of them are working remotely so that they know and that they can follow up. If you email that your son is absent, well, that's what we were talking about, having those individual connections and reaching out. So that's a way for that teacher to respond. So I would say do both. Contact the main office, let them know that the teacher's out, or that the student's out, and contact the teacher as well. Send the email to both. Or call, if you call the main office will call you if the teacher records that the student's absent. On the red and gold days, our office staff calls home to make sure and follow up what's going on as well.
Thank you so much for your answers. We got another question here. What is Palma doing to preserve the Catholic identity of the school while we are online?
I could certainly answer that, but I don't want to trump anybody here. We begin each day with a prayer. Our announcements are pushed out to our students every single day. Our teachers begin each class with a prayer. Faith in action is a hallmark of being a Catholic school. Our campus ministry program has already initiated some service group opportunities as of this past weekend with the all-in efforts to respond to those in the fires. We're going back into the prison system to be able to serve those particular, those inmates. And we're going to do that through an online connection, unprecedented in the state of California. We've been granted access to do that. We're pursuing further options to be able to do deliveries to inbound, homebound, people who can't get out because of the COVID. So there's a lot of service opportunities. Unfortunately, I think that they cater more to older students, students who can safely drive, students who can mask up. Those who are younger may need a parent or two to help them to participate, but I understand that we're going to be doing that. In the way of retreats, class retreats and such, frankly, we're a very boy-oriented kind of ministry program. So we mix our spirituality with a lot of physicality and socializing. And so the kinds of retreats we've done in the past that are service-bound or ropes course-oriented, frankly, are unsafe for us to do in a COVID-bound environment. So retreats will look a lot more like cohorts, and they will not be opened up until the spring. But those will be offered to students by sign-up process. And then on top of that, the source and summit of our faith is the Mass. And we've been told that we can celebrate the Mass as long as we do it in an open air. And so we're exploring and pushing for opportunities to do that. As you know, it requires us to have a celebrant, a priest, to come in and talk and work with us. But as long as we're masked and we're socially distant and we space out our arrival and our dismissal times, we have some opportunity to be able to do that. So that too is a very recent development, and we're excited to get started. But of course, air quality over the last week has not really been conducive to outdoor celebrations of the Mass. So as soon as we can move forward, we will start to plan accordingly. But thank you for that question. Also, if you look on our website, we have some links there. Mass is being offered through the cathedral, San Carlos Cathedral in Monterey, and we have a partnership with them. And so their recordings of daily masses will be aired there. And we've got some friends, Father Ron Shirley, Father Patrick Dooling, Father Seamus. They all care very deeply about Palma, and Bishop Ryan, of course. So when they celebrate, look for them to say something even specific to our young men.
Thank you so much for answering that question. We have another couple questions that kind of go hand in hand in a way, since you mentioned campus ministry in there, but we have a couple questions asking, are there virtual opportunities for students to complete volunteer hours? Are there mandatory volunteer hours for our middle school students? And then are seniors going to complete their community service? Or will it be adjusted due to the circumstances? So kind of those ones kind of go all lumped into one. So Mr. V, would you like to take that one?
Well, I can start. I'd certainly welcome Mr. Sullivan to chime in as well. Last year in the spring semester, we had to modify the community service requirement simply because we knew students couldn't complete them as prescribed. This is an evolving situation. I can't give you a definitive answer right now. I would certainly, if you know, much of the year, not hoping this happens at all, but if much of the year does not allow service outreach, then we would have to waive and modify that. We are not going to hold our boys to unreasonable standards. That's the promise I can make. The other thing about middle school service opportunities, service has never been a required component of middle school. It's been an encouraged aspect of middle school. So there's nothing necessarily to waive there. But as Mr. Sullivan mentioned, looking for opportunities for connectedness, for outreach, that's something that we're really trying to do. We're far more aware of it now than ever, the importance of that. Mr. Sullivan, do you have anything to add?
You did a great job. That's really where I am. Yeah.
Thank you so much. And here we have another question that kind of goes right into the hands of the Wednesday Flex Day and the idea that you had, Mr. Virengo, in regards to why on Wednesday and why the Flex Day. And it's just asking about socializing. It's saying for the boys to socialize together, are there opportunities such as gaming club? Do they have the ability to do virtual study groups? it would be great for them to be able to form some relationships before they're able to come back to in-person learning.
That is exactly the plan and the focus and part of the intent behind that day. Teachers are working on that now. Keep in mind, we've only been in class for a week, so we hope to get some of those clubs launched soon. There are opportunities to meet during the lunch hour period on the flex day. There's opportunities to meet after school on any day, school being ending at 2:30. Some might meet in the morning. Some might have club type activities during the classes themselves on the flex day. The core advisors are going to meet with sections. The new students had core advisory at the beginning of the school year, all grade 7 and 9 and some of grade 8, the new ones. Those are going to follow up on the flex days with schedules to be announced soon, so that students can continue to build those relationships. We absolutely know that relationships are key to the experience of this age. It's not just about academics. And I want to say that I think that was really the focus of our training right before we went back, about building those relationships. You've probably seen, if you've seen your son's first days, how much of an emphasis that is, how to get, because without the relationship, learning doesn't follow easily. It's the trust that needs to be built with the teacher, with each other, with the other students, with his peers. That's how the boys learn. And so we're very cognizant of that and working to build those. And you'll see that ever evolving as this quarter continues.
Thank you so much for that. We have a really, really important question here from Matthew Atoni. He would like to know if Snoopy or Lucy will be attending Palma School.
Sadly, no, we don't yet admit girls or dogs. So we'll have to broaden our mission statement to allow that to happen. For now, Charlie's on his, he might be relieved to be away from Lucy, so she'll stop pulling the football away.
And on a more serious note, sorry, I know we touched on it at the beginning of the webinar, but I wanted to get back to it because we did receive a question as to, there's still a little bit of confusion among some of our new families in regards to how do we handle discipline issues or concerns. And I know if Mr. Sullivan, you would like to take this, you touched on it at the beginning, but if you would like to elaborate a little bit more in order to ease the confusion on some of the families.
I'm sorry, would you repeat the question? I was in the middle of responding to a Q&A there.
Sorry, they were asking,
answer.
they were a little bit, they wanted to know more about the process about discipline issues. Like what is the chain of command and how does it work? I know you touched on it at the beginning, but if you could just elaborate a little bit more for them.
So everything is based on the principle of subsidiarity is where I keep talking about that, and at its basic definition, the Catholic concept of subsidiarity is decisions are made at the most local level possible. It's rooted in Scripture, Gospel of Matthew, where Jesus says, if you have a problem with your neighbor, take it up with your neighbor. And if that doesn't work, bring a couple of friends and then you address it again. And if that doesn't work, you take it to another authority and so on. I think the story is familiar to you. That's where we are. The grievance procedure with discipline is first and foremost to take it up with the direct supervisor. If it happened in an athletic competition of some sort, the coach is your first line. If it was in a club activity, the club advisor. If it was in the classroom, you take it up with the classroom teacher. If at that point, that particular conversation doesn't go well, or your needs are not met, now we look at escalating. Who's the next line? It might be his counselor. It might be our director of student life. This year it's Mr. Naroyan. Certainly isn't Mr. Dahlman. He's got other issues going on. Not that he didn't do it well, he was great, but we need him in other areas now. Mr. Naroyan would be another person you could talk with. And if that doesn't meet your needs, then of course you seek out an administrator. It could be Mr. Bishop in the realm of athletics, or if it's in a classroom, maybe it's Mr. Villarengo, or if it's any of those and others, it could be me. But the first thing I'm going to ask you is, who have you talked to so far? And if it hasn't even been the teacher or the coach, then I'm going to have a difficult time serving your needs, because frankly, I may not have been present and the decision isn't being made at the most local level possible, at least the attempt to. So I hope that helps.
Thank you so much for that. And it is 6:45. So we did want to wrap this up so that you could have some time to go onto our YouTube page and check out our student, or sorry, not student, our teacher profiles. And that way you can see a little bit more about the staff that is extremely dedicated and so happy to be a part of their team and work for them, because at the end of the day, you bringing your sons here just allows me to show you how great of the teachers that we have here on campus. So I do want to allow for you to be able to do that. I will make a shameless plug though before we move on. If you have any questions, concerns, Mr. Rybkowski and Mrs. Zatoni and I try to do our best job to keep the website up to date. If you go on our website, you'll see Q&A from teachers on how do things work. And we also keep our social media up to date. And with that being said, I wore a tie, and I got some little UCLA colors for you, Noah. You said you'd be watching, but big congratulations to Noah. He just committed to UCLA, so that's a big achievement for him. He just committed to UCLA for a full ride scholarship for football. Big congrats to Noah. And anything you have as far as news or anything new, please check every avenue that we have. We will email you, but I know that you get hundreds of emails every day, and some of them might even go into spam. But what you can do is check the Palma webpage as well as our social media to stay informed with all the latest and greatest Palma news that we have. So with that being said, I want to thank you so much. Thank you so much for attending, for spending the time. We got up to 164 of you. 7 dropped off because you're hungry like I am and wanted to go eat. But thank you so much for spending part of your evening with us. And just remember to check our YouTube to be able to watch the presentation that Mr. Rybkowski made, where you'll be able to learn a little bit more about each Palma teacher. Anything else from the panel?
One last thing. What about our special sequel coming up in 2 weeks?
Oh, yes. I almost forgot about that. I'm so excited that I almost forgot about that. But please make sure you log back in for a virtual meet and greet with our faculty. That will be on Wednesday, September the 9th. And more details will be to come. Like I said, make sure you check the website, our Facebook, our Instagram, our Twitter, and make sure you also check your emails, because you will be receiving emails with links and with the full schedule on when you'll be able to talk to your son's teacher. Anything else anybody want to add before we head out? Perfect. Thank you so much, everybody. It was a pleasure to host, and thank you. And if you have any questions, please feel free to email me or call me. Thank you and have a great night.